I'd like to call Newberry Township Planning Commission to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, the first item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of January 13th, 2025. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of the January 13th, 2025 meeting.
Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Jeff is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I don't believe there's any old business. Oh, I'd like to have Tom, our attorney, make an announcement regarding the number of people, the Planning Commission members.
Just clarifying that even though there are technically 5 members appointed, we have a quorum by having a majority, so we have 4 here of the 5. So official action can be taken.
And there's a couple vacancies. If anybody's interested, just contact Jamal Township Hall, and he can provide you with the details. Okay, first item on the agenda would be 320 to 350 Front Street, Lewisberry. Is the applicant here or representative? And the way we're going to work it is have them give their presentation, and Bill Rudy will give his presentation also. And then any members of the public can come up and ask questions. Come up to the mic, give your name and address, and then Planning Commission members will start the question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening. My name is Chris Hoover with Hoover Engineering, representing the plan before you. This particular subdivision is a 5-lot subdivision plan of a 26-acre parcel. It's located right at the municipal boundary between the borough of Lewisberry and Newberry Township. The property fronts on Front Street, which is located in the township, as well as Penn Street, which is located in the borough. The property is purchased by or owned by a gentleman by the name of Charles Wright, who actually lives in the property adjacent to the area being subdivided. It's a property that has the existing home and outbuilding on it. What the intent of the subdivision is to do is to basically create 2 residential building lots that are intended to be used as lots for the subdivider's family. He has 2 daughters, and he would like to build homes for them and keep them close to him, as well as creating a 2-acre lot along Penn Street, which would be right along the borough and township line, and then an approximate 1-acre lot that contains the existing farmhouse, which will be located at the corner of Penn Street and Front Street. And then the remaining land of the tract will be a lot addition to the owner's or the subdivider's existing home, which will then enable him to enter into the Clean and Green program, because he'll then be over 10 acres. So that being said, 2 lots that are going to be about 3.5 acres are being created in the along the what would be the southeastern border. Those 2 lots are going to be serviced by well and septic. The 2-acre lot that's located along Penn Street is intended to be serviced by public sewer, because there is public sewer that runs along Front Street. I did attend the meeting at the Lewisberry Joint Sewer Authority and just presented this plan, and they are in the process of issuing a letter indicating they have the capacity and are going to sign off on the sewage planning as part of their review. Probably the biggest issue relative to this plan is, in order to create the 2 3.5-acre lots for the family members, we need to create either a public or private street in order to give those lots proper road frontage. And what we are proposing to do is provide a private street meeting the width, right-of-way width of township standards. But what the applicant is requesting to do is to ask relief from having to meet the construction standards of the ordinance. The minimum width of private street required by the ordinance is 24 feet. And then, of course, there's different pavement section. What the applicant is proposing to do is to provide a 16-foot stabilized surface from Front Street back to where the cul-de-sac would be, and then provide a cul-de-sac turnaround of the size required by the ordinance, which would be 40 feet. But what he is asking for relief from is having to build it, basically blacktop it to the township requirements. Now, this is kind of maybe a common sense approach of looking at this. I mean, obviously, the ordinance is specific in what it requires, but the argument here is that this street, if it would become a street, if he would be required to build it to the township standards, at that point, it would then make sense to not own it and turn it over to the township because it's built to those standards. However, the reality of it is there's 2 lots being built on this road. The liquid fuels the township would get for this section of road wouldn't cover the cost of maintenance of it. I mean, probably liquid fuels would be less than $200 per year for something like this. So that being said, we see it as an alternative to have to, burden the township for the rest of the time to own and maintain what in essence would be a glorified driveway to serve two houses in the township. So that's where that request is coming from. We are asking for a couple of other waivers relative to the plan. Obviously, we're asking to not to design stormwater at this point, but to defer that to the time of building permit. There's some studies that are required, such as that woodland evaluation. There's really no significant tree masses on this property. This is was an active agricultural field until it was bought by Mr. Wright. So there are some tree lines that are kind of situated in wetland areas and along the edges of the thing. But, certainly these are more, I don't want to say junk trees for lack of a better term, but trees that aren't of significant size or perhaps value. We're asking for somewhat of a relief from the site context requirement. The plan that you're looking at meets many of those requirements of a site context map. There are some things that are beyond our property line that would normally be required, and those are the kinds of things we're asking for relief on that. So that in a nutshell is what we're asking for this evening. I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, Bill?
Yes, you should have my latest memo dated January 31st, 2025. Mostly administrative items at this point. Subdivision comment A6. I'm asking the applicant to also add that to the waiver sections, since he's asking to not build it to the standards, and it not fronting on a public street. I'm asking him to add that waiver to the waiver section.
Yeah. I'm okay with that addition. It's actually kind of semantics because the ordinance somewhat conflicts itself with this statement or this paragraph, as well as the other paragraph say all lots shall front on either a public or private street. So it kind of gives you the option, but this one kind of takes that option away. So I have no problem in doing that.
And then there's 4 waivers, and then 2 general comments, which he did mention about Lewisberry Borough at this point. So if there's any questions.
Any of the public have any questions? We're going to have the public first. Okay, seeing nobody from the public, okay. Planning Commission members, any questions? Yeah, you could start.
What was the consideration for going to a private road rather than just putting in an easement, which would have alleviated? Was there some restrictions why you could not present an option for an easement?
Well, I mean, the private road in essence is kind of the same thing you're saying. In essence, it is an easement, because there will be, as provided with some of the documents provided to the township, there is a right or a ownership and maintenance agreement that will be prepared and entered into by the lots that use it. And of course, that stipulates their responsibilities and who takes care of what. There's also is a notation in it that obviously this road, if we would move ahead as a private street, that it would not ever be taken over by the township until such times it would be improved to those standards. But to answer your question, as I said, in order to create lots, they either have to front on that private street or a public street, and not so much an easement.
Okay, so that was the requirement that they meet on to a public or a private street as compared to that where you're just giving access to the back two lots.
That's for the most part is what it is.
Okay, so I was looking to see if there was an option that gave you the allowance to not have to build the street to street standards as compared to what an easement is, just an access road.
Right. Yeah, that's why we're kind of forced into saying if we do call it a local street, then we have to build it to the standard, but it really doesn't make sense. I mean, if we were servicing 5 units back there, absolutely. I mean, build it to the township, dedicate it to the township, make it a street. But with 2 units, as I said, it's really not a win for the township. I mean, the win for the township is to allow it to be subdivided like this. They don't maintain the road and still collect the taxes they would normally collect.
Okay, and with the street grading, because of the stormwater runoff, is when it comes to the watershed with that in that aspect, is that where that will be covered? Is in the stormwater analysis when you submit for building?
Right. I mean, with probably the biggest stormwater impact of what's out there existing as far as the existing gravel widths and things is the cul-de-sac itself. That obviously doesn't exist in that form. So when we do that, we have to work with Bill as part of our stormwater design, probably have some type of retention facility downslope of it to capture that water.
Okay, just making sure that's where it would be covered at. Is that?
Yeah, that's why I'm asking for deferment of the stormwater plan at this point, because probably when that first lot would develop and that cul-de-sac would have to be built, we would account for that at that time.
Okay.
Actually, just to clarify, according to our ordinance, if you have a private street, they're prohibited unless they meet the same design standard specs as a public street, unless they're accompanied by right-of-way and permanent maintenance agreements subject to review and approved by the township. And the agreement must contain the following: identification of all parties, responsibility for the ownership, provision for enforcing agreement upon all parties of the agreement, assurance that the street will be constructed and maintained in conformance with the ordinance, and the requirement of future offer of dedication will not be made unless the street is restored to prevailing standards for a township street. Offer, and also a method of assessing maintenance repair cost. That's another thing too. And you
Right.
did mention under $200 on liquid fuels tax?
Just a wild guess, based on my experience as a past supervisor.
Yeah,
Townships don't make money on liquid fuels.
no.
Yeah, it might be 50 cents a mile we get. It's not much.
Yeah, and so we're talking 1,000 feet.
I'm sorry, not a mile, a foot. 50 cents a foot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Bill, what is the 90-day? When does the 90-day end for this plan?
It needs to get through tonight. I know we're coming up on it, so.
And the reason why I ask that question is because if there is no approval, say there's no approval and it has to be within a 90-day period from the date it's filed to the supervisor, or else it gets automatically approved if the supervisors don't make a decision. So that's the reason. I'm going to ask each of the applicants when it's the 90 days, so.
Yeah, I think most of these, Dave, with missing the meeting last month,
Right,
we need to take some type of action.
okay, all right. And Mr. Hoover, you said about the public sewage, which is important. Now, there's going to be, let's see, lots 1 through 6.
Correct.
Right, okay. Which lots will be connected to public sewage? And is it going to be for our township or Lewisberry?
Well, again, I do apologize. If I had my glasses, I'd be able to tell you a lot. Oh, I can actually read this. Okay, so lot number 2 which is the 2-acre lot to be located along Penn Street, which is the upper lot, as Bill has it zoomed in there.
Right.
That'll be connected to public sewer, and you can see there's actually a sewer lateral and a
Which township?
well, obviously, we're in Newberry Township,
Right.
but the way your township actually interacts with the borough is the borough basically takes over everything for the clients of Newberry in the township. So for example, anything relative to inspections, anything relative to billing comes out of the borough itself. So that's why I had to, so originally I talked with Township Sewer Authority to see if I would need to get my sewage planning through them. I'm told that you guys have nothing to do with it. I go to the borough, and so I went to the borough, and they're okay with that. So long story short, that lot's intended to be public sewer. The other two lots, the two largest.
Can you put the cursor on lot 2, Bill, please? Just to show the audience. Okay. Everybody see that's lot number 2. So that's going to be Lewisberry?
Yeah, well, yes, it'll be Lewisberry Sewer Authority is where the sewer will go.
Okay.
Okay, and then these two lots, 4 and 5,
Right.
the proposed lots, you can see the evidence of the perk and probe testing on those lots. And because we're in the agricultural zone, the ordinance specifically says you do not have to connect to public water or public sewer if you're subdividing in those lots. And because we're gonna be more than about 1,000 feet away from the sewer main, it made more sense to go with on-site facilities versus public facilities. So we did primary replacement testing as required by the ordinance. The lot sizes themselves are driven by some studying, some planning that we have to do as part of DEP to address nitrate loading and groundwater and things like that when you have on-site septic, called hydrogeologic studies.
Well, the ordinance says, unless otherwise specified, all principal non-agricultural, non-forestry uses or developments within agricultural district should not be required to connect to public water and public sewer. Right, okay. But you must have, all right, on-lot well and on-lot septic. Okay, so in regards to 4 and 5, that would be septic on that, on 4 and 5? Okay. And that's owned by the Wright Property Management LLC.
Right, you know, Wright lives in the house right there in that front left corner. Lot
Okay.
number, oh God, I wish I could see again.
6.
Bill, 6.
Charles and Pamela Wright, right?
Correct.
So lot 6 would be,
Yeah, lot 6 is his homestead, and that large lot that is the land in remainder, lot 3, will be added to his lot, which will then kick him over that magical 10-acre minimum.
so lots 1, 2, 4, 5, and 6 are single family, so 3 will be added to 6, okay.
Correct.
So lot 6 would be, that would be well and septic on that?
Well,
Or the septic.
it's actually well and public sewer. That's currently connected.
Currently, okay.
That's currently connected to the public sewer.
So well and septic. How about lot number 2? Or you said, Louis, excuse me, lots 1 and 3.
Lots number 1 is the existing farmhouse. That's connected to public sewer as well.
Okay.
On-site water, of course. And 3, of course, is what we were just talking about being the lot addition. You know, we're required to do sewage testing as part of creating a lot. So that's why you see additional soils testing on lot 3. He also was ambitious, thinking he was going to get another lot until I talked him out of that.
On page 1, note number 6, it says existing driveway, will it be rebuilt, and if so, by what date? Note number 6 on the plans.
Sheet. What did he say? What sheet? On what sheet? Oh, is he talking about this nonconformity note?
I think that's,
Front yard area.
Do we have a driveway detail on there something? There's something he's referring to. No driveway detail.
Note 6 talks about. What?
Yeah, this is on page 2.
Yeah, it says sheet 2. Talks about
Oops, sorry.
lot 1 being non-conforming relative to the front yard area. That sounds. It's what?
Farmhouse lot. Farmhouse, no, not that one, up above.
Oh, this is lot. Yeah. That's right.
He's a little
That's right.
non-converted,
I think that's what he's referring to.
since he's sitting on the road.
Can you speak in the mic then?
I'm sorry.
Speak into the mic, please.
I thought I was loud enough.
Dave, lot 6 refers to this existing home being non-conforming due to the setback. It's just a requirement of the ordinance that he identify those.
You mean lot number 1, not lot,
Yes, I'm sorry, lot number 1.
it was note 6.
Note 6, correct.
Thank you.
Question about the easement. It said, declaration of easement, and you have the word shall. Has to do with the agreement between the owners.
Hmm?
Wouldn't it be better to have the word will instead of the word shall?
The solicitor is reviewing. Was that already sent to the solicitor? Okay.
We're waiting to see what's going to happen tonight.
Okay.
The shall is like maybe, and will says, that you have to do a certain thing.
Hmm?
So
I'll let the legal people fight it out.
I'm talking about declaration easement of right-of-way, and it's on, the cost and upkeep for maintenance of private easement shall be divided equally between all parties which utilize said private roadway. Because, I'm thinking right now, it's just family is involved, but who knows what's going to happen in the future? It could be, sold off, so.
Dave, I think what's important there is that we do identify a requirement that the solicitor review the agreement.
Okay.
So.
All right. I got to bring it up, it's important,
Yep.
because it affects the people who are going to live there. Joint use driveway. Joint use driveway, page 2. Also about the joint use driveway, is one flag lot and up to 4 lots that's involved with this.
I'm sorry?
About the joint use driveway, right? You have one flag lot and up to 4 lots that will cover. You follow?
I'm looking for the question, I guess.
Okay. Let me find that. Page 2. It's a joint use driveway. One flag lot, up to 4 lots. I knew I saw it. I read it. Was it?
You mind if I ask?
Oh, sure, go ahead, while I'm looking for it.
I have a question on the fact that this is zoned agricultural. All right, I don't know who would answer this per se, zoning officer or something. What's the minimum lot size that agricultural land can be divided into for a residential property?
Good question. And the zone is an interesting zone, and I understand the intent of how the ordinance is written, but minimum, the way this zone is written, lots in this zone have to be either 1 acre minimum or 2 acres maximum.
Or 2 acres maximum?
or 2 acres maximum, unless, there's always a caveat, unless sewage planning and requirements require a larger lot size.
Unless, well, I missed that.
Unless-
Do you mind using the mic?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry,
I know, you get excited.
Yes, so there is a sentence in that description of 1 acre to 2 acres maximum, that unless sewage testing and those types of requirements require a larger lot size. And as I indicated, the requirements for the hydrogeologic study and the nitrate loading require that size lot. Nitrates in this area obviously are a little bit higher than perhaps other areas in the township because it's in an area of active agriculture.
Yeah.
And so you have a lot more nitrate loadings due to those uses. So because of the background nitrate being slightly higher, normally down here in Newberry, you're looking at 2.5, 3 acre lots to make the nitrates work. But when they get a little bit higher, then you get into these larger lot sizes.
So again, just to reiterate, the 3 acre lots on 4 and 5 are 3 acres, even though they are over the 2 acre minimum, or 2 acre maximum. It's because it's agricultural land, okay, and the nitrates that are possibly present.
And the regulations we have to meet.
Okay, now who came up with the 3 acre? Why wasn't it then 4 or 5 or 6?
There's actually a methodology to determine this lot size. You establish that background nitrate level by sampling existing wells. You take that number, you put it into a formula, and you basically do what's called a mass balance equation. And what that does is it basically takes into account the rainfall that's coming out, the underlying geology, because the underlying geology has to do with the recharge, and then basically it comes down to the dilution factor. So each house that's being proposed will create 262.5 gallons per day sewage flow. You then have to determine what the rainfall amount is, the geology, plug it into the equation, and ultimately it spits out you need this much lot so that the resultant nitrate levels will stay 10 parts per million or less,
Okay.
which is the MCL that the state has established.
And all that was figured out in order to get this 3 acres, 3.4, whatever.
That's why they pay me the big bucks.
Now, one last one, okay, because you brought up a good point in the fact that the nitrate, I'll just say the nitrate level will determine the size of the lots, okay? Do we have that written someplace, or is that something?
It was a comment that was brought up in the initial review, and the justification was provided to us, yes.
Okay, so we have that information, we can go back.
Correct.
Okay, all right, that's, Dave, did you want to continue? I had a couple more questions. Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
No,
All right.
sure.
All right, I just have 2 more quick questions, hopefully. All right, the dirt road that you want to put in there, for the road that you want to put in with the cul-de-sac?
Not dirt, gravel, stabilized gravel.
Okay, the gravel road, at the beginning of that has to pass, they're gonna call it the creek, I don't know if it's Bennett's Creek, but the creek there that is next to the house of Mr. Estep.
Okay.
That area there, I'm concerned for the water runoff from the gravel road into that creek, especially at that point.
Again, you gentlemen probably haven't viewed the site, and we don't have aerial here, but there is.
I live real close.
Okay.
So
Well, then
I
you
can picture it.
right. Well, then you knew what Stanley did when he owned it. I mean, he widened that entranceway, going back to that pole building where he used to, or that building where he used to do his business. You know, that roadway that's in there now is probably 12 to 14 feet.
Yes.
So, you know, all we need to do is dress it up, maybe add 2 feet to that. So we're not talking about a substantial increase in runoff being created by what we're doing, because even what's not gravel out there is compacted hard. But my point being is where you see the cul-de-sac, which is going to be all new,
Yeah.
that definitely needs to be accounted for.
I'm just thinking of EPA standards with the road being that close
Well,
to the stream.
no, I understand your concern, and it's a good point, but as you know, that road, you know, we're showing a 50-foot width, The gravel portion of that, as you can see where it's proposed on the plan, is actually located along the southern or the lower portion of the right-of-way. So we still have probably another 25 feet of grassed area before it even leaves the right-of-way itself. And then it has to flow across the add-on lot before it gets to that stream. So there's a lot of vegetation in between.
All right, so the road that's there, the gravel lot that's there, it's gonna be that same width that is currently there?
Well, again, there's places where it's going to have to be widened to get to that 16 feet. We want that a minimum of a consistent 16 foot so that two cars can easily pass.
Ah, okay.
And again, if you gentlemen feel that 16 isn't enough and you want to see 18, I mean, I'm not adverse to that. But again, the more we add, the more runoff we get and all those negative factors.
Well, the other thing is then you're gonna have to change I'm assuming you are gonna have to change the layout of lot number 6 in order to put this, if we said 16 feet, 20 feet, whatever, okay, you're gonna have to come into that property in order to take the road, widen the road.
Go the other way. Go away from the property. We got plenty of right-of-way up above to the north. If you look at that dashed line, that's your edge of gravel. You can see, there's a 12-foot existing gravel there, and then we're proposing to add to that. But you can see it's kind of situated along the bottom of the right-of-way. So we got that area above it that we
So you
could.
got the, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And then this should be my last one.
That's okay. This is like Jeopardy. I'm good.
Okay, I am concerned for future,
Okay.
all right, for the two lots in the back, lot 4 and 5. Okay, and if this gravel road, if it's sold to me, anybody in the public, okay? All right, what would be necessary, and they say, I don't want a private road anymore. I want the township to take over. Can they then go, is it designed so that the township can take over by widening the road?
No.
What would happen?
Well, no, it says the chairman had indicated that those 5 different things that need to be included in that agreement. And one of those things was township wouldn't consider taking it over until it would be improved to whatever the standards are existing at the time that they approach the township to take it over. So for example, 10 years from now, these people say, I'm tired of plowing, I'm tired of doing whatever. We're going to dedicate this to the township. They're going to come to the township and say, okay, we'll have to give you a design, show you how we're going to improve it to your standards with all the whistles and bells that come with that. Bill or his successor will approve that. Money will be put in place to bond it, to guarantee it, inspections and all that stuff, and then it'll be built just like any other public road. And then once it's built to that standard and inspected by the township, ultimately it would be dedicated by deed and the township would own it. But again, if you had 5 lots, you could break those costs out among those 5 lots and it would make sense. But for 2 family members, $125,000 or $150,000 street doesn't make sense.
Well, I understand, but being family members.
Yeah, and again, we all play that family game. I'm looking for some sympathy here, guys. Come on. So, but it could be family now and you tomorrow.
Yes, and being family members, I don't know how old these children are.
Oh, don't worry about it. Daddy's going to take care of these kids.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Please, let me finish, okay?
Okay, so.
All right, I'm sorry. But where I'm going with that is it's easy for them to want to move away from the parents. So instead of 10 years, it might be a lot less. So I'm just thinking about what the township's responsibility is if the road needs to be widened because the township needs to take it over. That's where I'm coming from.
Well, again, the township wouldn't take it over unless they're petitioned by the people who use it to take it over.
And change property lines.
Well, no, let's not even talk about that. Let's just say they need to want to improve it. They have to come to the township, and the township has to agree to allow it to happen. And if the township says, and again, I've been involved in these situations, the township can say, no, we're not going to take it over. And it stays the way it is forever.
Yeah, and that's what usually happens when that
Yeah.
does come up.
There's no forcing of the township to do anything with this road if they waive their requirements now. So, but again though, and I didn't mean to cut you off or be smart, but the intent of what's being done here is, again, which sounds weird, they're trying to create a family compound. They want the family here. That 2-acre lot is reserved for one of the grandkids that's only 2 years old. Because, the sewer authority goes, when do you think they're going to connect for sewer? I said, 2050. I mean, it's that mindset. So, and again, I wasn't trying to be smart, but you will not have to worry about that road being maintained as long as that man is alive. And fortunately, he has the wherewithal that he can do it.
And how old is he?
Probably in his 50s.
In his 50s?
Yeah.
Okay. I've heard of many aspects. And I too, growing up, I would have liked to have my kids right next to me and whatever, okay? All right, I just like that idea. And I like what he's doing, so I don't have a problem with 4 and 5 being family. But at the same time, the family grows up, the kids grow up. And all of a sudden, there is some tension between father and whoever, and it's like, no, I'm moving. I can't live this close to you anymore. So I think it's sooner than later. But that, I understand what you're saying, and you answered the question as far as if they want to widen the road, they have to come to the township, and the township can say no. And Bill alluded to that fact, so.
Yeah, and I think the other thing that's important, Jeff, is that's why we're going to have the solicitor review the agreement so that for those disagreements in the future, it's clear as to what is required by each party, so.
Okay, thank you very much. And I'm sorry I didn't use the microphone, and I was hoping you would. I'm sorry.
That's why I'm holding on to it so I don't venture from it.
And you're doing a good job.
Well, that's the choice we have to make, because one of the waivers is private street.
Yes. Well,
So if we approve a private street, that means the township will not be responsible for it. I have a question? Sure. Name and address, please.
Good evening, Jane Harmon, 205 Hemlock Lane, Edders, PA. Mr. Chairman, my only concern about the private street is exactly what you had said. If people move, I mean, you hear it all the time. You hear, I've heard on the news before about a private road and dispute between the neighbors, and one was shot over clearing the driveway. So it does happen. I know this is a family compound, and I applaud them. I love that. I wish I had enough space to do the same thing. My only concern with the private driveway is when you were talking, it was 16 feet? Is that what you were discussing? 16 feet. I was looking up, I was just concerned about fire safety, okay? When I'm looking at that, and it said, according to most building codes and fire department standards, a road needs to be at least 20 feet wide to comfortably accommodate a fire truck. You're having 5 houses back that lane, so you might want to consider that also when going back that lane. I'm not sure what our code is, but I was just concerned about that. Thank you.
That's a good point.
That's a good point, thank you. Anybody else from public?
And just to clarify the example, the lady indicated that situation, the reason it got created was because there was no written right-of-way agreement. That's why one gentleman shot the other gentleman. We're hopefully going to alleviate that by having the agreement in place prior to any selling of the lots.
So, Mr. Hoover, you have 16 feet wide on the plan. How much, I mean, if we decide to go with the
Gentlemen,
waiver.
you have public roads that are 18 feet wide that a fire truck goes down half of it.
No, but I'm asking the question, what would the width that you'd be agreeable to?
I'll be agreeable to whatever width you want me to be. But my argument is, what are we going to accomplish? What is 20 feet going to accomplish? We're not on a road that's going to see any traffic. So you're looking at a fire truck going down a 20-foot gravel driveway. What's the difference between a 16-foot and a 20-foot?
So this would be a gravel driveway, so it's not even a macadam.
We've been talking, it's going to be a stabilized gravel surface since we started.
Okay.
It will be required to be paved for the first 15 feet or something like that, per the ordinance.
requires for any new driveway.
Yeah.
So the first
15 or
15 feet,
25, I
Bill?
don't know.
Okay.
Whatever. It's already paved now.
It's 15-foot minimum per the ordinance.
Gravel road. Did you have any questions, Jim?
I have none.
None? Okay.
I have one clarification. I think when it comes to, we talk about the emergency vehicles getting in, one of the things is at the end of the cul-de-sac, I see you put a 50-foot radius. So that's 100-foot across. So even a large fire truck that can go in, he has adequate room to turn around without getting off of the hard stand and drop off into the mud or anything of that nature. So I think you've accommodated that sort of a thing, so they don't have to go in and then back all the way back out at that 1,000 feet. So didn't know if anybody got a chance to really go to that to see that they did make arrangements for that at the cul-de-sac.
I did drive out to look at the site. I feel it's important. You have to see what's there, so it's very important.
This is for Mr. Solicitor. These agreements that you're talking about, the family having to go and fall into, are those filed with the deeds and anything is officially recorded at the courthouse? So when the land was sold, that anybody who buys that, it gets this information, like buying into a subdivision that's got an HOA, it's marked on your deed that you belong?
To be honest, I'll have to look into that. I wasn't, this has not been something that I'm aware of. I don't know if James, the township solicitor, has talked about what they're planning to do here.
Yeah, I think James
I
already.
can answer that question. Okay. This is going to be a public document. It'll be recorded in the courthouse. So anybody who does a title search of any of these lots will show up.
Yeah.
We actually have to allow the subdivision plan to be recorded first because the document will then reference that recorded plan. But everything will be recorded so that it shows up in the public record.
So I think, Jeff, as you can see, that they've made plans legally, and Jane, the same thing is that they're trying to go and prevent any type of dispute down the road because it is now legally binding at the courthouse with everything else that's been filed with the property. So the new owner is furnished that when the title search is done, it shows up.
And they'll get that deed and they know.
There you go. Yes.
Thank you.
I do have one question for Bill.
Yes.
I'm just wondering if the township is recommending or requires a 20-foot width. That concerns me. I think that was a good point. What was brought up about the width for a fire truck, I just like Bill, the township engineer. Bill, do we need a 20-foot for a fire truck? Or that would be my only reason for not accepting the ordinance or the waiver, all right, is if we would rather see a 20-foot as compared to a 16-foot width. So what is your engineering?
Yeah, I think that the joint use driveway that has the requirement of the 16 feet. That's what he has on the plan. There's no curves in this thing. It's going to go straight back. I don't see an issue with the 16 feet in this particular case.
Okay, thank you, Bill.
I'd like to add a couple conditions to the plan, that the ones, other than Lot 6, that's where the Charles and Pamela Wright live right now. And Lot 2 is Lewisberry. I'd like to see the other lots connected to public sewer. I know it's a big expense and you have well and septic right now, but I think it's important. And, you're talking about not a large area total. So I think I'd like to add those conditions.
What section of the ordinance are you basing that on?
What section?
Yeah, considering the section, you read the section of the ordinance that says we do not have to connect to public sewer.
I feel it's,
You really can't make it a condition. You can, you can make it a
okay.
recommendation.
Okay, I'll reword it. Recommendation. Okay, thank you for clarifying that.
Appreciate
Okay, not a problem. So you got that in notes, Jim? Okay, recommendation, that other than lot number 6, the other lots be hooked up to public sewer.
May I ask that you revise your recommendation to say lots 1 and 6?
Just lots 1 and 6?
Yeah, since those are the two that are currently.
Oh, 2 is a little bit, okay.
Oh, you're not saying 4 and 5 have to be?
That's what he wants for. That's how I'll write it.
Now,
We're excluding 1 and 6, and everything else has to connect.
Right. So the recommendation will be to have lots 4 and 5 connected.
Correct.
Okay.
isn't 6 sewage also?
I'm sorry?
6 is well and septic.
6 is currently connected to public
Okay, so
sewer.
I see that now.
And you have that, and they're providing.
4 and 5 is correct. Those are the two that are currently.
And this is already there, so. Correct. I missed lots 6. I thought that was septic.
And I know you're looking for a waiver for private street, but I feel that it should be a public street. I know what you're saying, I hear you saying the cost, everything's a gravel road. But I think we should not vote for this waiver for private streets. That's my feeling. And I heard what you're saying, I heard the other members, but, and also I'm thinking for the future too. We don't know who's gonna live there now, but also could be sold. So that's also trying to think of, you just don't want to think about the present, because whatever we decide tonight affects the future. So that's another, that's my feeling, we get to vote on the waivers.
What waiver are you talking about specifically?
That would be 34431K, construction of private streets.
Would increasing that street width to 20 feet change your thinking?
No,
Okay.
had to ask though, right?
Give it a shot.
Are there any further questions? Okay. So we get to vote on the waivers. We're going to vote on it individually. The first one is 344-37, stormwater plan.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the waiver for submission of stormwater plan.
Okay, is there a second? Okay, it's second. Any further discussion?
Yeah, just noting that it would be required at the time of the building permit.
Okay. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Next one is 344-20J10, Woodlands evaluation. Motion to approve.
Based on the fact that there's very little trees, vegetation on the property, I'd make a recommendation to approve submission of woodland evaluation waiver.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Jeff? Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Next one is 344-20E, site contacts map.
I'll keep running with it. I'd make a recommendation to grant the waiver for the submission of site context map.
There a second?
Second.
Okay, Ed? Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next one is 344-20B1, that's the plan scale, 1 inch equals 80 feet.
I'd go ahead and make a motion to recommend the approval of the plan scale of 1 to 80 inches, the
Okay.
waiver for that.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, Ed? Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And the last one is 344-31K, private streets.
I'm going to go ahead and make a motion to approve this waiver to have a private street constructed. I do not believe it's in the best interest of the township to have a public street constructed that's not going to provide revenue to offset the cost to maintain. That's not in our best interest. So I'm going to recommend the approval of the waiver for the private street. And I'm okay with the 16 feet.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? So that's 3-1, yes.
And I'll make that note for you, Joe.
Okay,
Or David.
yeah, oh, I know.
Sorry.
3 yes and 1 no, okay.
And then A6 as well.
Pardon me?
A6 as well,
A6 of your notes, Bill?
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that's just that all lots shall front on a public street, 344-33D4. And lots not fronting on a public street shall not be approved except as provided in section 344-31K of this chapter regarding the private streets. So it allows it as long as you have the public street, or the private street meeting the requirements of 344-31K.
So they work in tandem, Bill, so like, what is the correct section number then?
344-33D4.
33D4, okay. 33D4.
Got it.
Well, we approved a motion, or a waiver with the wrong section number, then.
So how about this? I'll go ahead and make a motion.
Actually, it's voted on, so once you make a motion.
That's what I'm going to make I'm going to make a motion
Okay,
that we correct that, the correct waivers, 344-33D for the construction of a private street versus a public street. I'd make that motion.
And withdraw 30.
And withdraw the motion for 344-31K.
okay. Motion on the floor, is there a
But-
second?
344-31K is that one needs to be waived, as well as,
Also both.
yes, both, 344-33D4. That's what I'm saying, both need to be waived. So if we already did 344-31K, that can stand. You just need to waive 344-33D4.
Okay.
No, it's right here. I said it's A6.
So we're adding that. Okay, so I'll make a motion to recommend the waiver for 344-33D4. And that would deal with
All
all
lots shall front.
lots shall front on a public street.
Correct.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ed. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so that's 3-1. Okay, now I look for approval for the, now this will be a final subdivision for 320 and 350 Front Street, Lewisberry. There's a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the,
Final.
what is it, the final, sure final subdivision plan for 320-350 Front Street, contingent on the memorandum from William Rudy dated January 31st, 2025, and the recommendations provided by the Planning Commission members.
And just to be clear, there was only one other additional condition. That was lot 4 and 5 recommending being put on public sewer. Okay.
Okay, is there a second? I'll second. Okay, Ed, seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Mr. Hoover.
Thank you, gentlemen. It was a great discussion this evening. Enjoyed it.
Okay. Okay, good night.
See you, Chris.
You know, the only thing we bought is
Okay, next item on agenda
that we had to show what
Is-
they were doing. Yeah.
is 300 Ridge Road and Old Quaker Road. Is there an applicant, representative for them here? I think we know this guy.
This Stanley?
Good evening. My name is Dale Jackson. I'm with Akins Engineering. I'm representing this plan for William Stanley. We're just basically removing a property line and adding 9.25 acres to it. So we're taking Mr. Stanley bought the mobile home park, Skyview Mobile Home Park. And along with that came a lot with an existing house that's 3/4 of an acre. And we are basically subdividing 9.25 acres to add to that lot to make it a 10-acre lot. And I believe he's going to sell it to the existing occupant. So we're basically just removing a property line. There's the, as you can see here, he's got it zoomed in. That's a 3/4 acre lot. It has a well and a septic. And then we're going to add 9.25 acres to it to make it a 10-acre lot. And that's all we're doing here. We're just adding a property line. Pretty simple.
So you're saying you don't think we had a lot of discussion, right?
Wow, that's what we're saying. We have addressed most of the engineer's comments. It's basically just a couple administrative things. However, we are asking for 3 waivers. Waiver 1, provide a site context map. 2 is submit a woodlands evaluation. And when we're showing the overall plan of the mobile home park and all that land, we're at a scale of 1 inch equals 120, which I guess we're asking a waiver for that because their max is 1 inch equals 100 feet. But it would require, this plan will be recorded eventually, so it'd be better to have it all on one sheet. Other than that, it's a pretty simple plan.
Oh, Bill, can you provide any
Yeah,
comments?
so you should have my memo dated February 26, 2025. That's the remaining comments on this plan. As mentioned, most of them are administrative in nature at this point, and there are 3 waivers being requested, and then 1 general comment to add some existing information regarding public water.
Any members of the public like to ask any questions? Okay, seeing none. So, Bill, what's the 90th day for this plan?
This would have been, submitted in January, so again, I think we need to take some action on it tonight.
So,
Yeah,
is it a supervisor
Yeah.
meeting at the end of the month? Okay, so we have to, all right. Now, this is a mobile home park, 78 acres and single-family dwelling. Okay.
Well, Dale, you shut us up here, let me say.
Well, it's a basic plan. Doesn't get any easier than this. And they're adding open space, so I guess it would make that lot clean and green.
Yeah, I'll say the only thing that did come up during the plan review is, with him taking the land from the mobile home park, we did make sure that he still met all the requirements for the mobile home park, meaning density and those types of things, so that the lot that was left for the mobile home park still met zoning. So that was really the biggest thing we were concerned about on this one. Other than that, like it said, it's just, moving a lot line, so.
And it's kind of a steep slope, so the land, it's probably only good for a deer farm, deer hunting.
Any planning commission members have questions? Mr. Jackson, so you're just moving a lot line, so there's no construction?
Nope, no construction, no land development, nothing. Just
Okay,
moving a property line.
okay.
And actually, because technically the 3/4 acre is a non-conforming lot because it's rural resource. So we're actually making it conform to the new ordinance, although it existed before. It's like before our ordinance. So it's kind of an existing non-conformity, but we're making it conforming.
Any other questions? Okay, we're going to vote on, you're asking for 3 waivers. Okay. First waiver is 34420 site context map. Is there a motion to approve the waiver?
Recommend.
Recommend approval of the waiver.
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the waiver for 344-20E, site context map.
Second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ed. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next one is 34420J10, Woodlands Evaluation. Motion to recommend the waiver.
I'll recommend that we approval for a waiver for section 344-20J10 for Woodlands evaluation.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, Jeff. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Third waiver, 34420B1, existing plan scale. Is there a motion to recommend?
I recommend approval for the section 344-20B, the existing plan scale, to be, recommend approval.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Jeff. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And recommendation for a final minor subdivision plan, 300 Ridge Road and 1115 Old Quaker Road. Is there a motion to recommend approval?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of the 300 Ridge Road and 1115 Old Quaker Road, the William Stanley property for, make sure I have that, final minor subdivision plan. And that'll include any of the remaining items found in the memorandum from William Rudy dated February 26, 2025.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Mr. Jackson.
Oh, do the next plan.
Okay. Okay, is there a representative here for Thomas Ream? Say final minor subdivision?
I'm representing that
Oh, you are
plan
also?
also.
Okay.
Like this. Of course, we have, it's another pretty basic subdivision plan, a little more detail to it, but Mr. Ream has approximately 32 acres off River Road, and it also borders 300 foot of Cly Road. He's basically subdividing 10 acres off for his son, and then he also lives there in a lot that's his existing lot's like 1.2 acres, and he's going to add 1.13 acres to his existing lot. So we're just basically subdividing 10 acres off of 32 acres and also subdividing 1.13 acres off the same 32 acres, which will leave 20 acres left over. So we're not proposing any building or anything. I think he wants to give it to his son. I think he was talking about building down on one corner, which they have public sewer and public water down there. And that's about it. Another simple plan, just moving some lot lines. Be happy to answer any questions you got.
Okay, Bill?
Yeah, so you should have my memo from February 25th. This one was actually submitted for the February Development Committee meeting. So this would have been the first opportunity for this one to be before the Planning Commission. So this is two zoning comments that need to be addressed with regards to some notes being added to the plan. And at this point, we have 11 subdivision comments. A lot of them administrative, but also some additional information that needs added to the plan. And then there's one waiver and two general comments. I would ask, had you guys looked, I know when we met at the Development Committee meeting, there's probably some additional waivers that you were going to request?
Yeah, under the subdivision, looks same thing, plan scale. And also a waiver of the woodlands evaluation, which would be under the subdivision 6 and 7.
It would be B, 7, and 8 in the comment letter, would be additional waiver requests.
And then the site contact amount, basically the same 3 waivers.
Okay, so C1, which is in the waiver section, then he wants to add B7 and B8.
Well, it's my feeling that we should only vote on the one waiver because this is dated February 25th. Everything, you know, everything should be given to us prior to our meeting, which was last Wednesday. And I feel we should only vote on the one waiver tonight. Be up to the supervisor to decide, but that's my feeling. If you're not providing a complete plan with all the waivers, it's not a complete plan. So I feel that we should just vote on the one waiver, which will be the site contacts map.
Did he submit the waiver request?
Yeah, I think what is, just so you're aware, like, so this would have been on the February, at the end of the month, the February Development Committee meeting. So there's really, that's probably the 25th, I'm guessing, if I look here real quickly.
Well, Bill, I'm looking at the application for consideration of waiver.
Yeah, no, I'm
Appendix
following you.
7.
It's just, there's really only, there's like 4 days for them to turn it around to get it back to me, to be on this agenda. That's the main reason that, it's just a short time period.
Yeah,
there.
no, I understand, Bill, but it's my feeling that it's important, you know, if you're not, you weren't ready. And if an applicant's not ready, go to the next month. But that's the way it should be, not just the last minute, because this has happened before at this last minute, and I don't like it.
You
So
just
anyway.
gave, you just, the same waivers you get.
No, I
out
understand,
every
no, I
time,
understand
so.
that, I know.
I mean, it's, doesn't make sense to
Well,
hold
to me,
this.
it does.
To hold this man up.
No, I'm not gonna hold it up. I feel that we just should vote on the one waiver, be up to the because we're only recommend to the supervisors.
Right, we'll let them. vote.
So, I think that's what we should do, just the one waiver. Anybody else have any other feelings on this? And two waivers, or how do you feel?
No, I'm fine.
With what?
I'd like,
Oh,
I'd like to hear what the solicitor has to say as far as was there enough time given or not. That's what the discussion is,
okay.
whether there was enough time given. So, I'd like to hear what the solicitor says. Thank you.
I'm not sure it's a legal question about them having like a requisite number of 4 days as a turnaround period. Would be my input. I'm not aware of anything in like the municipality planning code or something that says we do or don't. I mean, it's more about making the agenda is my awareness of the topic.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Jim, how do you feel about that? It actually boils down to one waiver for 3.
Well, I mean, this is the agenda that's given to the public. So, you know, we're voting on what the public is here to see. So I think it's difficult for us to vote on something that's really not an agenda item.
And just remind me something, you know, according to Sunshine Act, if you want to change your agenda, you have to do it at the beginning of the meeting. So we cannot change the agenda right now. So it's public law. So we have to follow law. We're, you know, officials, and we just can't change things because somebody comes up and say, oh, you know, we forgot something. Throw this in. No, we cannot do that. So according to the Sunshine Act, we have to go with this agenda.
Now, Woodland's evaluation for a minor subdivision plan, is that a necessity? I don't think so.
No, Dale, no, I understand what you're saying, but in my mind, it's not ready. And also, we should have changed the agenda at the beginning of the meeting. We have to go with this agenda, according to the Sunshine Act, which I know, I understand, but that's the way it is. So, I mean, this time, well, they'll be ready. But, no, we're just gonna go with the one waiver.
So, yeah, I think what your options are, you either, you either don't make a recommendation on that one, or I guess you do, or you could table the plan till next month, or you could, recommend approval tonight. Those are kind of your options, so.
Well, Mr. John, how do you feel about that? You
I
want to come
think
back another month?
No, we could, they're simple waivers. They're simple. Just don't vote on them, but we'll let the supervisors vote on them.
Well, we're not gonna vote on it because there's only one waiver.
Right. Well,
Site context map, that's it.
so I think we can approve the plan because it's a minor subdivision.
Well, that's up to us to decide. It's up
And
to us to-
we'll just go to the supervisors.
Oh, sure, that's a possible, but we'll make a recommendation. And we will just go with the one waiver, and that's it for tonight. And when it goes before a supervisor, you can bring this up, before them. So, anyway, any further discussion? Okay, there's one waiver, 34420 site context map. Is there a recommendation to approve it?
I'll make a motion to recommend the approval of the requested waiver for 344-20E site context map.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ed. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, and this will be a final minor subdivision plan for 210 River Road for Thomas E. Ream. Is there a motion to approve it?
I'll make a motion to approve the finer minor subdivision plan for Thomas E. Ream in accordance with the memorandum provided by William Rudy dated February 25th, 2025.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Is it Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay, Jeff, all right. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Mr. Jackson.
All right, thank you, guys. Thank you for your time.
Okay, you're welcome. Okay, the next item is the Monarch office expansion. Is there a representative here? State your name and your title, please, and how you represent the applicant.
Good evening. My name is Joshua George. I'm with Landworks Civil Design here on behalf of Monarch Products. I believe you're probably all familiar with Monarch Products, their facility at 385 Sipe Road. They happen to supply Central PA with almost all of the concrete inlet boxes, structures, things that go into public works projects, development projects, et cetera. And over the last handful of years, business has been strong, and they would like to add on to their existing facility. So this plan before you this evening has 3 separate building additions proposed, all connected to the existing building in different areas. So there are 2 small additions in the front, and when I say the front, if you drive into their property, the first building that you come to is where their office is, and we are proposing 2 additions to the building there. The additions would be for office space and to improve the entrance into the building. So we'll have a nicer foyer entrance into the building, and then we'll have some additional office space as well. The third addition is sort of in the back, if you will. That's the bottom of the screen, the area that's outlined in red. That would be for storage of existing materials. They store some stuff outside right now, and they would like to have some additional space inside to keep products like rebar and some of the other materials that go into their products. So the plan is a fairly straightforward land development plan. All of these additions are on top of existing impervious area. So we're adding very, very little impervious area to the project. We are not changing access. We are not changing sewer and water. The project is served by public water, but it also has an on-lot septic system. That septic system was inspected by the Township Sewage Enforcement Officer back in January, and to the best of my knowledge was deemed to be acceptable and adequate for not only existing conditions, but also for the proposed conditions. We have comments from Bill that we'd be happy to go over, and there are 4 waivers associated with this plan as well.
2, 3, 4, right. Okay, Bill, your comments, please.
Yeah, so we have one zoning comment, which you mentioned. We did look into the expansion of the on-lot system, and it was adequate. So that one was really addressed at this point. Under the subdivision, there are 9 comments, 3 stormwater comments. So I don't know that you mentioned that there is kind of, even though there's not any new impervious being created by this lot, the ordinance does require that the disturbed areas meet the volume requirement. So he is providing a stormwater basin to kind of take care of the volume requirement for the 2-year storm. And then there's, as mentioned, 4 waivers and 2 general comments.
I'd be happy to go through the waivers if you'd like to do that, or?
Oh, any members of the public come to ask questions? Okay. Planning Commission members have questions?
Yes, are there any hazardous materials being put in the storage shed?
No, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. George, on note number 9, contractor's responsibility to avoid tracking mud on streets, how will this be accomplished? It's on page 1.
Those are general notes that we put in the plan related to the construction and the erosion and sedimentation control.
Right.
So the proposed construction is well back into the site, several hundred feet into the site.
Okay.
So in practical terms, there's not any likelihood that mud would be tracked out that distance onto the public street.
Onto Sype Road.
Right, exactly.
And also you have a note, no new sewage flows. Explain this, since you're going to expand your building, right?
Yeah, correct.
Like
Yep.
What's it presently and what's it expanding to?
So the 2 additions related to the office, one of the additions is 200 square feet.
Right now?
Oh, no, the existing right now?
Yes.
Krista, do you happen to know that off the top of your head? Okay. I might be able to compute that by looking at the plans, but I don't have that off the top of my
Okay,
head.
well, okay.
So the correspondence that I saw go back and forth with the SEO, there was going to be additional employees, and it was looked at. The system is currently oversized,
Okay.
so that's why, we had them go out and look at it and make sure that it was of adequate size for the few additional employees that would be anticipated.
Oh, so that's why you put no new sewage flows. Okay, because it was oversized originally, huh, Bill?
Yeah, well,
Okay.
that we will have to. That actually will need to be updated because I think there are some anticipated new employees, but it still met the requirements. The on-lot system meets the requirements for the additional employees.
Yeah, there may be a couple of additional employees added over the course of time. Primarily, these additions are to support existing staff and then also the storage of the materials that I mentioned. But it will give them a couple of extra offices that would allow them to add over the course of time.
Okay. And Bill, what's the 90-day on this one, on this plan?
Again, this one was submitted some time ago, so there'd need to be some action
So
taken
action has to
tonight.
take at the
Yeah.
next supervisor meeting.
Yeah, we had our staff meeting actually December 30th or something like that. And It was
Yeah.
right before New Year's, and we were supposed to be here last month.
Number 9, CS11 grade.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. We need some type of action. Yeah.
I mean, if this date's right.
Any roof leaders.
I think we're actually using the date.
I got something here, Jim. It says any roof leaders shall not be tied. Any roof leaders. CS1 downspout.
Oh.
Downspout.
Is that the date off of your?
For, I guess, any building additions. You
Yeah.
wouldn't want to tie the,
No. Oh, Mr. George, do you have a note there about any roof leader should not be tied into the sewer system? I think will would be better than shall, right? I mean, okay, it's illegal, but this way, can you explain that? Why you have shall instead of not will?
No, I can't, because in my mind, they're essentially the same intent. What we're trying to accomplish there is just to make sure that no water from the sky ends up in the on-lot septic system.
So I think you should change the wording.
It's fine.
Yeah. No, it's important, shall, will. C5. 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 Something about the number of employees. It says, required parking number of employees 34. That's on your memo? But it says one daily shift at most 47 employees, so which is the correct number? Is it 34 or 47? Or somewhere in between?
Where are you reading that?
This is on C5, let's see, is that your,
The parking date is on the cover sheet.
I've got it on C5, 5.1. Required parking.
Calculations note 34 people on the 2 larger shifts and each provider 34 in the table under the zoning data. I don't know on page, are you seeing another note?
Somewhere I read a bill, it says there's one shift, right?
There's one shift, yeah.
One shift only, okay. At most 47 employees.
Yeah, the number's 34, so I'm not exactly sure where you saw that, but if it's on there somewhere, we're happy to correct it.
It says, I wrote down 4B. 4B. Find it, where it is. You see it in here, Jim? Can't find it. Not sure, I can't find it really somewhere. Not sure. So it's about 34 employees, you said?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Unless they obviously hire them somewhere. But. Any plan commission members have questions? There it is.
Oh, that's back.
Yeah,
That's here.
yeah.
That's right here that they talked about that.
Okay. Okay, no further questions. Want to vote on the waivers? Okay, the first one is the preliminary plan 344-15. Is there a motion to recommend approval?
I recommend approval of 344-15 preliminary plan, waiver be approved.
Okay, there's a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next one is 344-21A1 site contacts map. Is a motion to recommend approval?
I'll make a motion to recommend approval of 344-21A, site context map.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next one, 344-21A2, existing resource and site analysis plan. Is there a motion to recommend approval?
Recommend approval to existing resource and site analysis plan.
Okay, second?
Second.
Okay, Jeff. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And the last waiver, 344-21A4, Resources Impact and Conservation Plan. Is there a motion to recommend?
I'll make a motion to recommend the waiver for 344-21.A, Resources Impact and Conservation Plan.
3-4.
Oh, 4, yes, A,
Okay.
4.
Is
Thank
there
you.
a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ed. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, is there a motion to just a preliminary final land development plan for Monarch office expansion? Is there a motion to approve?
I make a motion that we recommend approval of the preliminary final land development plan for Monarch office expansion. With contingent upon Bill Ruby's memo dated 27 January 2025.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, Mr. George.
Thank you very much.
Okay, next item is the Falcons LLC proposed 6-lot subdivision plan. State your name and title and how you represent the applicant, please.
All right, good evening. I am Andy Barshinger from Site Design Concepts. I am here on behalf of Falcons LLC and Rob Harkins. The subdivision is proposing 6 new lots. This is at existing parcel 105 and parcel 149, which is located at 1615 Old Trail Road and 1645 Old Trail Road. There's the map of it. It's right along Interstate 83. Lot 1, which is also currently parcel 105, will be fronting on Cartref Road there, which is the one to the top of the page. So existing, we have a mixed use, which is going to be on Lot 4. It's currently parcel 105, and then that's going to be an existing nonconformity. There's another use, a residential use on 149, which will become Lot 6. That will also be an existing nonconformity to remain. And then everything else is going to be a commercial lot. So Lot 1, Lot 2, Lot 3, and Lot 5. There is no public sewer available at this location, so we have gone through the conditional use hearing and have a conditional use now to have private on-lot systems. We're going through the planning for all of that, the planning module, hydrogeologic study, make sure the lot sizes comply with that. I think that's pretty much it. And then I do believe there were 5 waivers listed on the agenda. We're actually only asking for 4. The section 344-37 is a stormwater management report. We don't need that waiver at this point because we did actually submit a stormwater report now, because originally this was just a subdivision plan with the 6 lots. This is now a subdivision / land development plan showing the land development of Lot 2. So with that came the grading, stormwater management, and the stormwater management report. The other waivers are for the preliminary plan, for the site context map, which has been asked for numerous times tonight, the woodlands evaluation again, and then also curb and sidewalks.
Okay.
Yeah, I did not. So the land development side of this plan is for Lot 2, as Bill's got queued up on the screen there. It's basically an open parking lot. There is a proposed office space there on the left of the screen. The required 4 spaces are shown just to the bottom right of that. and then is a will be a handicap space on the not north side, but above the building there. We have revised that, and the plans that will be submitted to the board do show the ADA space, handicap space.
So you have my memo from March 4th. There's 2 zoning comments, 10 subdivision comments, the 5 waivers, 4 stormwater comments, and 3 general comments. A lot of the subdivision comments are related to Lot 2. This originally came in as kind of like a subdivision plan, but with talking with the applicant, they wanted to look at developing Lot 2, so we made it a combined subdivision and land development plan. So that generated some additional comments from the original review and the review for the land development portion of the project.
Any members of the public like to question? Okay. Oh, Mr. Bash, how do you pronounce your name? Bashinger?
Barshinger.
Barshinger, okay.
Yep.
Well, you know what? I checked my Gmail account today. You had sent something to Donna on Friday, this Friday. Our meeting's tonight. Why did you send it on Friday? It should have been last Wednesday. Because, and you had a 3 or 4 page document. And this is probably your first time before us?
Yes.
Okay, next time.
For the planning commission, yes.
Next time, give us more information, more leeway. Because it's a last minute thing. It came in on Friday, so that's important, because we had to review it. And also, now this is a regional commercial office. And according to the ordinance, it says non-agricultural and non-forestry uses must be served by public water and public sewer. Not meeting its requirements, section shall be permitted only by conditional use. Now, on note number 6 on page 1, proposed lots, there's 6 of them, shall be served by proposed on-lot water supply systems and proposed on-lot sanitary, in other words, well and septic.
Correct.
6 lots. Even though our ordinance requires public water and sewer, why is that there?
Well, right. That's why we went before the board for the conditional use. February 25th, we went for the conditional use to have the on-lot water and sewer.
That was approved?
Yeah, and
Special condition?
Yeah, there was a conditional use approved, and there was, it was either 5 or 6 conditions, basically identifying the lots that, and if public sewer came through, the applicant agreed to connect to public water and public sewer at that time. And all those conditions will be listed on, I've asked for those conditions to be added to the plan.
But presently, it's just well and septic right now.
Correct, yeah.
So what, just go over that again, Bill, so all 6 lots will be,
Well, yeah, at the time that water and sewer would come through,
right,
he'd be required to connect to public water and sewer. Those were the conditions that the board put on the plan.
because I thought on Old Trail they were, I thought there was a line going through.
So the sewer stops at the township building, or
This
just,
building or the,
yeah, right out in
The other
front,
building.
right out front here.
Oh,
Right
it
out
stops
front
at this
here.
building. Okay.
Stops at this building, so he's
okay.
he's over 1,000 feet away from public sewer.
So only after they continue running the line, will it be hooked up? And if there's construction afterwards, okay, then it'll be required, okay.
Yeah, Rob Harkins. I live at 2100 Pottsville Road. Yeah, when at time public water and sewer is available, we will have notes on the plan that we will hook up. That's the conditional use hearing is basically a procedural
Right.
thing that's just required because public water and sewer is not
Oh,
available.
sure, yeah. So at this point in time, don't know when that'll occur. At this time, you don't?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think we don't have in our plan, in our comprehensive plan, any plans to run water or sewer down there.
The- One line is, okay. So when the line becomes available, okay. And you, and Mr. Harkins, you're the owner?
Yes,
Okay, and this is on both sides of 83, because you got Cartriff Road on one side
correct.
and Old Trail on the other, okay.
Lot 1 was basically subdivided naturally by 83 when it went through.
Sure,
That's going to stay the way it is. We're not doing anything over there, chopping that up anymore. That's just the lot that was created by 83.
and also on page 1, note number 5, it says Lot 4, mixed-use, commercial and residential, existing nonconformity to remain. Can you explain the nonconformity?
Yeah, it currently has a residential house on it, which I intend to keep, and I'm going to put my office there for my business.
Okay, so you nonconform, so it's your business, okay. Yeah, because lots 1, 2, 3, and 5 are commercial. Lots 4 is a mixed-use residential, and 6 is a single-family residence.
I was going to make lot 1 residential and build a house for myself there, but it's non-conforming, and I don't want to go through the work.
And lot 1 is Cartriff,
Yeah,
okay.
so that's the story with that lot.
Now, there's only 6 lots, right? 1 through 6, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Well, when you look at page 3, you have lots 1, 2, 3, 3A, 3B, 4, 4A, 4B, 5, 6B, and 6C.
That's
And then sheet 4 has 2, 3, 4, and 5. Why so many lots? What's going on there?
It's basically a requirement because of the York County. This is the way the tax map office works. They want to see, they need to have a trace of where things come from. So we need to show not just lot 3, lot 4, lot 6 being created, but we need to show where they're going, which is to try and make it a little bit clear. We've got that information shown on this plan, and then the plans after this at a larger scale or smaller scale, depending how you look at it, those just show the lots being created. But basically, they need to see 3A, which is coming from parcel 105,
Right.
to make up lot 3, 3B, which would be coming off of 149, that whole thing. So basically, they need to show the trace of where the parcel is, how you're subdividing it, and then attaching lots together to make different lots. But the lots in the boxes would be the final lots once everything goes through, 1 through 6.
Yeah, like you said, lot 3A is to be subdivided from parcel 105.
Yes.
And then 3B from parcel 149. When I read, it's like, what? There's only 6 lots, why so many? But
Yeah, it's.
That actually confused me too.
yeah.
I
So that's a
personally
York
don't.
County, so who requires that?
Yeah, I hate it. I don't like it. I would like to not do that. Some other places don't let you. I think Lancaster allows you to, kind of bypass that. But it's a York County tax map. I think it's tax map assessment office
Tax
or,
office? Okay.
or recorder of deeds, one of the two, or maybe both.
Probably the deeds, I would think, right?
Yeah.
So it's a York County office, okay.
If we didn't do this plan, the plan sheet you're looking at, if we didn't do it this way and we did everything else and took it to them, which has happened before,
Right.
they would turn it back and say, no, we're not signing off on that. You got to make this clear. So, I mean, some plans would show the 3A, the 3B, and everything on the main subdivision sheets, the larger scale plans, but we did this one to show just that information. Then when you go a couple sheets back, you won't see them anymore. It just
Right.
shows lot 3.
Okay.
Clarity.
And Bill, was a level 3 screening required by the zoning board at that meeting? Did they pass that, do you know?
The level 3 screening is required by the zoning ordinance. It wasn't something that was talked about during the conditional use, but the applicant knows that they need to provide the additional information for they're out actually already showing the designated area. I'm just asking them to, because level 3 screening requires a combination of a fence, a berm, and landscaping.
Sure.
To show what they're actually going to put up for the level 3 screening, what combination of the two they're going to use.
Okay. And then I compared Bill's memo to your memo. And Bill has 10 questions, so they kind of match, 1 through 5, 1 through 6. So Bill has a question about subdivision. And then, for example, like number 6, provide an executed memorandum of understanding, but it's not answered. Number 7, submit improvement guarantees. Lighting plan. Looks like you're doing okay to the first 5, but I didn't see any answers to the rest of them. Do you follow what I mean? If you look at
They
Bill's...
should be. I mean, most of the answers, if you're not seeing it on this plan set, there were some that were being addressed in the next plan set going for the
Okay.
board.
You know what it might be? Yours can't, okay. Yours is dated February 24th, Bill's is March 5th.
Yeah, I think there was
So that's, okay.
It's like the response letter should have all of the comment letters in it. So if you go
But-
down, maybe you might have to go down a little bit further.
Okay. But I mean, whatever, see, because these aren't, well, how would you know at that time? It was, a week later. So, but do you have Bill's March 4th?
Yes. Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
yeah, I think the way I'm looking at it here, I've got 2 sheets from multiple comment letters, and you go past that, and then you get to the March 4th letter.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is something about the waivers. There's 5 waivers, 4 on the plan. 5 waivers, 4 on the plan. Oh, you know what? There's 5 waivers requested, there's only 4 on the plans.
Yeah, that's what I said in the beginning. Yeah, we don't need originally, we were going to have, there was going to be a stormwater site plan separate from the subdivision plan. Now it's all together as a subdivision and land development. And there was a stormwater management report compiled and submitted, and will be submitted again to the board. So that there's no need for that waiver anymore for the 344-37.
Stormwater management report, that's only when you build. You have to provide a report prior to construction.
But in this particular case, these are commercial lots.
Right.
So he'll need to come back in for land development for any of these other lots to be developed. So that's why he's saying, really, for the only lot, a lot of times when we give that waiver, it's in regards to residential type situations.
Sure.
In this particular situation, if any of those lots were to be developed, he's going to have to come back before the planning commission and the board to develop those lots.
Okay. And Bill, is a traffic study required for this?
No,
None? Okay.
no, you need more trips, more parking to trigger that.
Okay. And on sheet FSD number 6, it says, just about that driveway site distances. Are they acceptable, Bill? Did you get a chance to look at that? FSD 6. Is it okay for all 6 lots?
Did I have a comment regarding that? Oh, yeah. They had
You
the
have-
tables right on, correct, yes. Yes, there was adequate site distance.
Okay. And you have provide a profile that meets the requirements of 380-46.
Yeah, that's for
But you're
lot,
okay with it? Okay, good. All right. Does any plan commission have any questions? Yeah, good.
I guess this is probably for, and Rob, I'll address it. What are your thoughts on I know you're asking for a waiver of sidewalk and curbs. What are your thoughts?
The same thoughts. I know this is a hot topic with the planning commission. We hear it at the board level also. Like the sidewalks go to nowhere. They would go to nowhere. Like on lot 2, the one I'm actually developing, it butts up to the animal hospital, which doesn't have sidewalks. And the north direction, it butts up to 2 residential houses that immediately go to an on-ramp to 83. Like the sidewalk goes to nowhere that anyone would walk. Now, when the rest of the lots are developed, that can be addressed at that time. But I mean, the sidewalks go to nowhere really, like, or they would go to nowhere.
So, Bill, you brought up about deferments on other plans about this. Who would require the deferment? You know what I'm saying? Deferment would be.
Yeah, in place of the waiver, there could be some language added to the plan that the sidewalk be deferred till at the time the township required the sidewalk to go in. Really, it probably, lots. It really probably would only come up with lot.
Can you put the cursor on a lot, Bill? You talking?
Yeah, like lots 3 and lot 5,
Right.
they would be, you'd have to have land development. So this issue would come up again for lots 3 and 5, but lots 4 and 2 and 6 and 1, you really wouldn't. If it was going to be provided in the future, you'd have to defer it. Right now, you wouldn't waive it, if that's what you were asking.
So, how would that be done? I mean, part of the revise the plans or
What's that?
about a deferment? I mean,
Well, you'd if you're, someone could make a recommendation that be
okay.
changed to a deferment, and then you'd vote on recommending a deferment.
Okay, so it's up to us then. All right. So, Ed, did you want to have a question?
Rob, in the future, you're looking at develop that whole area as being commercial. So do you foresee that at some time that there might be a need for crossing across Old Trail Road where there would actually be a crosswalk, which would then, I believe within our ordinances, then you would have to make accommodations for that, which would then add to the sidewalks down the various way. Is that something that you had thought of as far as in the future when you actually develop to the commercial side?
I'm not sure I totally understand what you're asking, but my intent is to sell lot 3 and 5. Just sell the land to someone. I don't know what the use would be. Lot 2 I'm going to keep for myself, and lot 4 I'm going to keep. So is that where you're talking about a crosswalk, or where do you?
Well, I was thinking about that. Since you have the you got lot 2, and that, did I understand correctly? That was a parking area.
Yes.
So with that, walking across to the other businesses, that was what I was wondering if that was to accommodate or.
It's actually a parking area primarily for that vet office.
Oh, okay.
Is why I'm primarily doing that. They need space, and they're going to rent space off of me.
Okay.
That's what the parking is for.
So
there won't be parking from lot 2 for lot 4, if that's what you're asking.
That was what that was going to allude to, depending on the business that got in there, and if they didn't have adequate parking, then there could be some arrangement to utilize across the street to meet the requirements if that would be available to them.
No, that's primary for 2 is
Got it.
strictly. Well, I'm going to use it for the other half for an office and parking over there, but I'm doing that lot for the animal hospital.
Yeah, and I'd mention that there was Rob had applied for a zoning permit for lot 4, and we looked at the required parking specifically for lot 4, and he's going to provide the parking for lot 4 on lot 4 for that use.
Okay.
Okay.
Any members of the public?
There was one more thing, Dave. When I was looking at your response letter, sir, about that was dated 7 March, and I didn't see any response, and it says that there was a general note. I'm looking at item 6 under subdivision, and going back to Bill's item 6, where he cited 34420D12, and you listed everything that appears but 12. So was that actually addressed, or was it deferred somewhere else?
We don't have.
Okay, on Bill's memo dated 4 March,
Just the memorandum of understanding.
right,
Okay.
item 12, and when you responded to it on the 7th, it wasn't one of the things that listed, or give me a says, just added to general notes, but you didn't say anything about this item 12, the memorandum of understanding. So where did
is
you
that
make
under
sure you
the-
covered that?
So the memorandum of understanding would be it would be an administrative item that would be required prior to recording. So
Okay, I see, specific only to the development of lot number 2.
correct.
Okay, so there really is no need for that, but you were trying to give them a heads up that, to make sure that they've got it in line to go ahead and do that administrative action.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, okay. I was thinking it needed to be done now, not at the time of development. Okay, thank you.
I'm a little confused, Rob. Is lot two strictly is a parking lot, correct?
Correct.
Lot 2. And across the street, is that where the vets is? The orange one up there, or where's the vets?
That is.
Can you, wait, go back, scale,
Oops.
I don't understand that one.
That is the white lot right there where the hand. There you go.
So it's on the same side. You're putting the lot for that on the same side. So there's no there's just gonna be parking, and then it'll just be a lot that they walk through the parking lot. There won't be any sidewalks, is that right there at all? Is that what we're talking about? Is that correct? No sidewalks? Okay. All right, I thought the parking lot was across the street. That's why I was like a little confused if the people were crossing the street.
Nah,
They're currently doing it, and I'm
that
thinking
now.
that's unsafe,
Yeah.
but especially on that road. Okay, so they're putting up a sign. Okay, that makes sense. Good job.
Any other questions? From the planning commission? Okay. All right, so be ready to vote on the waivers. There's going to be 4 waivers. The first one is 344-20 preliminary plan. Is there a motion to recommend?
I'll make a motion to recommend the waiver of 344-20, submission of a preliminary plan.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Ed. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Next one is, it's a little bit different section number, but it's the same thing. It's a site context map. 344-21A1, site context map. You might have seen a different number on the agenda, but they're correct, Bill? They're kind of interchangeable? Like,
Yeah, I'd have to look, but one of them might be the preliminary plan requirement, and the other one the final.
Because some plans you see 344-20E, and this one's 344-21A1. I believe this is applicable.
Some people.
Oh, no, excuse me. I'm looking at the wrong one. 344-20E. Because Monarch had a different section number. That's what it was. You can check that now, Bill? Okay, well, Bill's check, we'll go to the next one. 344-32 sidewalk.
But 20E is correct, we just saw that.
Okay, so 344-20E. Is there a motion to approve that one?
Yeah, final plans.
You're making a motion, Ed?
Sorry, we were catching up.
344-20E.
I make a motion, we recommend approval of the waiver for 344-20E, the site context map.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Nope.
Jim?
Sorry, Jeff.
Jeff? Okay,
Jeff.
I know.
Tommy also.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. 34432, sidewalk and curb requirements. Is there a motion to approve the waiver? Recommend approval?
I'd make a motion to recommend the approval of the waiver conditioned on a future deferment if the township requires.
So it wouldn't be a waiver then, it would just be a deferment.
Deferment, yes.
So, Bill, to clarify this, we're going to vote either yes or no on the waiver, and then how do you put this just as a recommendation? Like it's two separate things, right?
Yeah, you could do it that way. You could recommend denying the waiver and then recommend a deferment.
Okay. Yeah, because you
Because
can't,
they're two separate, they're two separate things. The waiver and the deferment are two separate things.
right.
Okay, so I'd make a motion to recommend denying the request for waiver 344-32 sidewalk and curb.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, so if we vote yes, we're not approving the waiver, we're asking for we're recommending a deferment.
Correct.
Okay.
We're asking to deny, so the first vote is to deny, and then we'll make a motion to recommend the deferment.
Okay, all right. So, okay, good. Any further discussion?
So yes is to deny.
Yes.
No,
Left,
wait a minute.
left,
You got to approve to deny it. I think that's.
yes.
We go through this at the
Yeah.
township. It's
Yeah, go through this again.
Rob knows where we're headed. So we're right now, I've made a motion to deny the
Okay.
variance. So we're voting yes would say to deny.
Okay. All right. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Okay, now I'll make a motion to recommend the deferment of sidewalks and curbs conditioned upon a request from the township supervisors.
That makes sense, Bill.
I didn't catch the second part of it.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay. I have one question, Bill, on this deferment. Is there a time limit or a time frame that they have?
Yeah, so there's language in the deferment that says that basically, once the applicant is notified that the township wants sidewalks to go in, they have 6 months from the notice to install the sidewalks. That's the language that's added to the plan.
And just so I'm clear, that's just if they require sidewalks down the entire road. Is that correct? Like they're not going to just
Yeah,
come
I
to
mean,
me and say,
I don't
"Put
know
sidewalks."
I don't know why they'd call you to put in sidewalk unless it was for, everyone along there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have to start construction of the sidewalks curb within 6 months of the date of the letter?
Correct.
Township,
Yeah.
okay.
That's the note that'll go on the plans.
Bill, if the property is sold, it would still go to the new.
The note gets put on the plan, yeah, and recorded.
Thank you.
Okay, so there's a motion to recommend a sidewalk and curb deferment. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, all those in favor to recommend?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We're not doing stormwater management. Last one is 34420 J10 Woodlands evaluation. Is there a motion to recommend?
I'll make a motion to recommend the requested waiver for 344-20 J10 Woodlands evaluation.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, last thing is approval of the preliminary final subdivision plan for Falcons LLC. And that's going to be Harchiff Road and Old Trail Road. Is there a motion to approve?
make a motion that we recommend approval of the preliminary final subdivision and land development plan for Falcons LLC with the conditions so noted and in accordance with the memorandum from Bill Rudy dated 4 March 2024.
Okay, is there a second?
2025.
Yeah, 20. Yeah.
Jeff's going to second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you both.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, last item would be Newberry RE Holdings LLC Stormwater Management Plan.
Good evening. My name's Adam Whalen, Project Manager for Integrated Consulting. Here representing Newberry Holdings LLC. Jim Hoffman is the applicant. This is actually a stormwater management plan, so it's not a land development plan, it's not a subdivision plan.
Right.
We're looking to develop the site for a future use to be identified, with one roadway access off of Potts Hill Road up to a gravel pad area for future marketability of the land. It's at a good location along 83 there. What we're looking to do is, build this out. There's a lot of slopes that we have to deal with that we can talk about here in a bit with the waivers, and then we're proposing a stormwater basin at the lower end of the site to accommodate the new impervious cover, which is the gravel and the pavement for the access drive up to the site. The gravel pad's about 3.5 acres. The site is zoned regional commercial, so there's a lot of uses in the future that that we could put on that site. At this time, we are not proposing any uses.
What'd you say your name is?
Adam Whalen.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. So also with this plan too, Potts Hill Road and Old Trail Road are both state routes. So there are multiple highway occupancy permits that we would need. Driveway permit. There are slope easements along Potts Hill Road and also Old Trail that we're impacting a little bit. So we need approval from PennDOT for that as well. And also the connection from the basin at the low end of the site for stormwater into their inlet system or their stormwater conveyance system. We'll need a HOP for that as well.
Okay, Bill, you have any comments on this one?
Yeah, so you have my March 5th memo. Typically these stormwater permits, they're just going through staff reviews. In this particular instance, though, there was waivers required to develop the parcel because of, the steep slopes and other issues that the applicant couldn't meet. So there is 5 waivers listed in the memo. Through some discussion with the applicant, we did have to add an additional waiver for pipes being designed to the 25-year storm requirement, because there is one pipe associated with improvements that need to be discussed with PennDOT that currently does not meet that 25-year requirement. I don't even think it meets a 10 at this time.
We're meeting the size of the pipes system that we're connecting to.
Yeah,
so it's something we need to work with PennDOT on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really, the issue before you tonight are the waivers.
Bill, just a quick question. What was the date of your latest memorandum?
March 5th.
Because I think we're all looking at December 31st.
Sure, yeah. Yours didn't make it in the packet, apparently.
Okay.
So what did you add to it, Bill?
So I did give you this before the meeting. Those are the waivers that we're looking at tonight. A, B, C, D, E, and F.
The one dated March 6th from Integrated.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So Bill, what's the 90th day on this one?
We were given a time extension. I really don't know. I'd have to look up to see when we were given the time
But I
extension.
mean, do they have to, supervisors have to act by the end of the month, or?
Do you know when it was given to?
Can't remember. I can look it up on my email real quick if I.
So you did apply for an extension?
At one point, yes, because we skipped last week's planning or last month's planning commission to come to this one.
So how long of an extension?
I think it was, if I can remember, the end of April or something.
It's like a 30-day?
Yeah, let me.
I just want to make sure we're.
Sure, let me see if I
we're,
can find it real quick.
in the timeframes.
I found it.
Yeah, I got it too.
It was
April 30th.
April 30th, 2025.
So we're okay, okay. So that's the 90th day, all right. So, Mr. Whalen, so if you get approval, you're going to start this year, spring, right? And then in the winter?
Yeah, that's the intent.
That's the plan, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
When to start work.
That would hinge on the MP.
Oh, yeah, the MPDS.
State,
After this, we'd have to
oh, you
get
have to
an MPDS.
state your name, please.
I'm Jim Hoffman.
You have to go to the mic, so we can, what's your name?
I'm Jim Hoffman with Newberry RE Holdings.
Okay.
After this, we'd have to get an MPDS through York County. So depending on that time frame, we would not start late in the year. It would be plenty of time to get stabilized.
Okay. And on page 1, it lists the utilities, including the township and municipal authority. And on the plan it says there's only one response from Med Ed. So this is the PA1 call? How come you only had one response, and have you gotten any responses since then?
On
Page 1.
not to my knowledge. I mean, public water and sewer are not.
There's no other.
Yeah,
There's no
nothing
other
really there.
underground systems.
Yeah.
So Dave, the land development requirements, so he'll have to, he's getting the stormwater approved to build the pad and put the access drive in. We tried to look at the requirements of the ordinance, or we did look at the requirements of the ordinance based on what's in front of us, but when he submits, he will need to come back in with a land development plan, meeting the remaining requirements of the ordinance for any future commercial use that he put on the lot.
Because at this point, you don't know what's going to be
No,
built,
we're
proposed.
it's really being graded out and planned with stormwater so that for future marketability of the lot.
So the idea is to basically get rid of all the vegetation and have a flat area, right?
That's what.
Or actually
yeah,
two
that's part of
flat
the plan,
area.
correct?
And also get an access to the ground. There's no access from the road at this point.
There's an access road on the plans, though. Or you want to put an access road?
It's proposed.
Oh, you'd have to, sure.
But there is no access right
There's
now.
no access.
Left again? Yeah, maybe try right and then back.
On page 5, you have a demolition plan. So will all the vegetation be removed on this parcel, or
Based on the plan, yes. I mean, yeah,
just about the full amount?
yeah.
Note number 8, explanation about the shall cut and remove the luminaire and sign location to 24 inches. Okay, so note number 8, page 5.
Hit left.
Let me find that.
Comes back up.
Yeah, I think that note probably just needs to be removed. There's no signs or anything like that right now.
You're talking about any protruding okay, so you're going to remove note number?
Yeah, there is none of that. It just needs to be
none.
removed.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's weird.
the note needs to be removed. That is.
It's on page 5.
And what number was that?
Number 8. Tell us about the luminaire
The screens are on.
and
I didn't unplug this. Maybe, let me unplug it.
24 inches
Back in.
below grade. Proposed access drive. Page nine. And on page 9 of the plans, you have an incline of 7%?
For the roadway?
Yes. Page 9.
It goes up to 10.
Pardon me?
It goes up to 10.
10. Because down on the lower left-hand corner it says 7%, and upper right-hand corner says 5%. I'm looking at the proposed access drive plan view on page 9. See in lower left-hand corner, about 584 feet.
You can see it up here, it's just vertical curves.
Yeah, that 6% right there. Yeah, so the main drag of the road is 10%, and then it starts to level out at 6%, and it's less at the connection point to PennDOT as well.
So Bill, that's got a slope there. I mean, how do you feel about that, having, for the access drive? Is that too much of a slope?
Well, it's been redesigned. I think originally it might have been 12, and the ordinance requirement is a maximum of 10. So, and then I think down at the intersection, it's a maximum of 8, and he actually has it at 6, where it ties into the road there.
Because the one parcel, 2 gravel paths, one is 1.8 acres, the other was an acre and a half. So you're talking like 3.3 acres between the two.
So the newest plans have 1 gravel pad, and it's 3.6
What's the date on your newest plan?
3.6 acres. It's January.
Revised date,
This- here's-
January 2025.
He has one.
Yeah, there's a newer version.
You have this set, Dave.
Oh,
Dave, you have the half-size set?
oh, the small, okay, yeah, I do. So, okay. That's right, you added a page. It's 12, now it's 13, okay.
Yep.
So that's still on page 9, all right? Okay. So Bill, you don't see a problem with the, I know you mentioned about the ordinance, but, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's to meet the requirements for a minor street in the ordinance, the access. So minor streets are permitted to be, 10%, so.
Okay.
I'm sure if it gets on a snowplow route, it'll be plowed quickly though, and early on the list.
Yep.
And the waivers themselves, can you just go through them while you're looking for a waiver? Like the first one's very steep slope disturbance, maximum 4 to 1. So why are you looking for a waiver for that one?
Are you asking me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so that one, most of the site, over half the site is a steep slope. So we're impacting pretty much all of it to
Yes.
get to, to make this a marketable property in this zone.
So to make it a marketable property. So
Can you touch a little bit on the geotechnical report that you had put together with regards to the steep slopes and the construction within them?
Yeah, we had a consultant, ECS, prepare a geotechnical report.
Right.
Another waiver that we're requesting too, just so you guys know, is the proposed slopes of 2 to 1. I believe the ordinance only allows for 3-to-1 slopes. So we had ECS go in there and do a global stability analysis on the for the sub base out there. It's strong bedrock, and that meets all the safety factors, to their recommendations, and with the steepened, rock fill slopes and everything is stable per their analysis, and we believe that 2-to-1 is satisfactory based on that.
And they did have some details and some additional notes that they recommended be put on the plans for construction within these steep slopes.
Yeah.
And the next one, finished slopes of cut fills not to exceed 33%.
Yeah, that's the one I was just talking about. So instead of 3-to-1, we're doing 2-to-1 on the plan.
So you want a waiver for 3-to-1, but you're going to do 2-to-1. So from 33% to 50%.
Correct.
Now, what is a cut fill?
What is the cut fill?
Yes.
Like the total volume?
No, I mean, just describe what's involved with that cut fill.
Like what the process is of
what's the
cutting and
process?
filling the land.
Yeah, I mean, well, for this one, there would be probably blasting that would occur. And then, grading with excavators and heavy equipment to stabilize the slopes according to the geotechnical report and the geotechnical engineer's recommendations.
I did read your report. That's right. I mentioned about blasting. And how do you, what's the procedure to keep it safe? I'm talking about like the surrounding area. Yeah, Route 83 is right nearby. And
So the blasting is regulated by DEP.
okay.
And we pull permits through DEP, and there are a lot of guidelines we have to follow, seismic activity as well as the way we set our shots up.
Yeah, 'cause it sounds like they do that. But so with the DEP, so how do they notify? Because if somebody hears a loud noise, they're going to call 911, right?
So
how would
we kind of went through this with the warehouse when it went in. So what we asked is we asked for a contact at the site, and any complaints or anything that comes in, we'd really direct them to either your company or the blasters to kind of address the comments, because it's really on them and their insurance, and really has nothing to do. The township doesn't have anything in it with regards to enforcement or anything. Like you said, it's just DEP and his own people that are kind of overseeing the site.
With where the site's located, we're not anywhere close to where we probably wouldn't even be required to do any seismic testing, but we probably still would at the property lines just to have the data. But we blast in sewer treatment plants within 10 feet of clarifiers.
okay?
So this is out.
And can you talk about, like, if there is a home within a certain distance, you'd be required to even
Pre-blast surveys.
Yeah.
So if we're within a certain amount, and that's all spelled out with the department. We'd have to do pre-blast surveys of the structures. That's when we're within a couple hundred feet, and also the seismic to record the seismic graphs on every shot.
So will a letter be it occurs? Will a letter be mailed to the homeowner?
Oh yeah, and in this shot here, that we're not anywhere close. But if we were close to a structure, absolutely, we would send a letter and also reach out in person.
And I would suggest contacting the police department just to make them aware, to give them a heads up.
Oh, for the blasting schedule
Sure.
itself? Oh yeah,
Schedule,
what we
yeah,
do is
yeah.
we let the township know exactly when the blasting
And the
schedule
township
is.
will-
This is such a small job. This is probably only about 6 shots. Some of our jobs are well over 100. But this is we're far away from structures and relative to blasting.
So, Mr. Huffman, who do you work for?
I work for JVH Excavating.
What is that? JV what?
JV is a Victor, H Excavating.
Okay. And what's your title?
I'm the president there.
Okay. Okay, oh, no, okay, and go on to the third waiver, like you're looking, access driveway radii, and I think you mentioned about trucks being able, you want a minimum 55-foot radii for truck traffic? There's something about a 50-foot.
Yeah. Yeah, so the ordinance requires that I believe a 55-foot minimum radius for truck traffic.
Right.
This is on a PennDOT road, so we have to go by their standards, and the maximum that they have is 50 feet, but they allow like for compound curves and such like that. So we have to follow their geometry and their approval process to be able to get that approved and everything.
Okay. The next one is volume controls, MRC methodology. Now, I know there's two ways with the volume control.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do the MRC methodology?
No, this is the MRC methodology. So standard volume controls is basically having a basin or a bioretention basin or whatever it might be for water quality and volume through infiltration. Here, we did an infiltration testing with that ECS report for the geotech.
Right.
And there is no infiltration. It's minimal to no infiltration. So when that happens, you must basically oversize the basin, put in some amended soils, an under drain system, and it increases water quality and reduces volume to a point. It will infiltrate to the max extent possible, but the way the testing went and everything, it's negligible to none.
So you don't want to do the MRC?
No,
No. This is the MRC.
Okay.
In lieu of the infiltration, the traditional infiltration methodology.
Yeah, and the MRC design concept is it's kind of a newer concept with DEP. You know, for the longest time we were doing infiltration in areas where it doesn't work. So this is kind of one of the options they give us now in lieu of just doing infiltration.
Because of the rock bill?
Whatever the limiting factor may be, whether it's rock or high water table or.
Because I know it was mentioned that you had was an excavator, you're trying to dig a pit, and the bedrock stopped it at so many feet. Whatever it was.
That was up the slope. We did not hit rock in the basin area. We hit more of a clay silt, which is very hard to get infiltration in.
Okay. And the other one, minimum 2.5 feet per second of pipe velocity.
Yeah, so that's for the two pipes at the entrance of the access drive. So the hydrology of the site, that whole side of the site is hydrologic soil group A, which is very good for infiltrating or anything. So when we did our analysis, basically no water on that side of the site that runs off onto Potts Hill Road. Basically there's no water that gets on that road. So we had to collect all the runoff that we could from our site, all the additional runoff from the impervious, and bring it back into the site and take it to the other side into the basin. So when we did that, there's only a very small piece of impervious from the driveway that gets into those two inlets right at the beginning. And because of the minimal water that actually
gets... First, run that, Bill, please. What he's talking about. Now, Potts Hill Road is the road.
Yeah, correct.
Okay, and then into...
So I don't know the inlet numbers, but the very two inlets closest to Potts Hill Road.
14 and 15.
Yeah, 14 and 15.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's minimal flow getting into there, but we still had to capture it to make our stormwater calculations work. So the minimum flow that gets into those inlets, and bringing the water back into the site and then over to the basin, because it's such little water, we can't get the velocity to...
So that's the red lines.
The red lines are actually the site site triangle.
And just, typically if you're not getting the velocity, you're going to have sediment that settles out and it's going to be a maintenance issue. This is a private access drive, so the maintenance really falls on them in this particular case. If it'd be a public street, there might be more concern for the waiver, but in this particular instance, with the maintenance being on them.
Does anybody have any questions? Either public or...
What's the intent for doing this again, please?
The intent? To grade out the site, it's at a great location along 83 for future marketability, for a use to be determined. Because there's a lot of permitted uses within this regional commercial zone, and we want to be able to build something out so that, you know, future tenants or whatever could use that or could see exactly what they would be getting.
So more or less it'll be commercial other than residential.
Yeah, residential wouldn't be permitted in the regional commercial office zone.
Jeff.
Thank you, thank you.
It's gonna be a flat area, no vegetation.
If I'm correct, this is the corner of Old Trail and Potts Hill, the road that, it's the hill that they've been clearing off for the last several weeks. It's a very steep hill, correct? As you're,
That's, is that on the other side, Jane? I think it's,
as I'm going down the Old Trail,
Yeah.
it's on the left-hand side, and it's on the left-hand side, then you turn left to go into the Potts Hill Road. It's right on the right-hand side.
right.
And it butts right up to the interstate.
No, it's on the left-hand side. After you make the left on Potts Hill, it's on the left-hand side.
It's on the left-hand side, not on the right-hand
Not
side.
on the right.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
So how far away when you're blasting? I'm just concerned about 83 and vehicles going by and the noise and like, I know when they were doing the warehouse, several houses had received damage from that and the noise was loud. So I'm just concerned about that.
There's really not much noise to the shot. It'll be a bit of a rumble, but we won't have any fly rock. There's a lot of, like I said, DEP has a lot of guidelines on cover and hole stemmings.
Okay.
On where we put the powder and how, you know, so there's a minimum drill depths. There's all kinds of different things we have to do there won't be any fly rock.
So you're breaking up the rock, but it's not going up in the air at all. It's
Yeah,
just
it just kind of bumps up and
Okay.
lets right back down. Right?
Okay. All right. That was my concern. Thank you.
I've seen blasting, like when that blast, like, if that's the ground level, like, it'll probably raise this far.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions? Okay, ready to vote on the waiver. First one is 344-42B5E2, very steep slope disturbance area. Maximum 4 to 1.
I'll make a motion to recommend the waiver for 344-42B.5.E.2, very steep slope disturbance area ratio.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, motion to approve. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? This will be 3 to 1. Okay, next one is 344-42B5D, finished slopes of cut fills not to exceed 33%. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we approve the waiver for 344-42.B.5.D for finished slopes of cut fills not to exceed 33%.
Okay, is there a second?
Just recommend, right?
I'll second it.
Recommend.
Okay, Jeff said. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. This will be 3 to 1. Okay, third one, 344-31R3F, access driveway radii, minimum 55-foot radii for truck traffic. There a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to recommend the requested waiver for 344-31.R.3.F.
Okay, second? Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
This will be 4-0. Volume controls. 332-14 volume controls, the MRC methodology. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion that we recommend approval for 332-14 volume controls MRC methodology.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll make a second.
Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So 4 yeses. Okay, last one, 332-17C1D, minimum 2.5 feet per second of pipe velocity. Is there a motion to recommend approval?
I'll make a motion to recommend the requested waiver for 332-17.C.1.D.
Make them shorter. Lot of letters. Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so,
Excuse me. There should be one more based on that revised waiver
Yeah.
request letter from last week.
well,
So that
however, it's on the agenda and we have to go with what's on the agenda. You should have made that known at the, were you here earlier? The
Yes,
gentleman was up
but
there?
I did send Bill an email earlier today.
Well, see, no, you can't do it earlier today. Today's our meeting, you should have this done. If you weren't ready, you should come next month. No, that's,
We have to advertise, we have to put this out to the
This is on
public 24 hours
See,
prior, so anything that would
this is
come
the
in
s- you're
today.
talking about the Sunshine Act.
So it'll just go to the board with no recommendation on that waiver.
Yeah, so future reference, if you're, check our website for the agenda. If there's something missing, because they have to put on at least 24 hours before the meeting, which was Friday. So we have to vote on what's here. You were here earlier, right, when I talked to Mr. Jackson about that?
Correct.
He only had one waiver and he wanted 3. So we have to go up by this. So that's the way it is. Okay. So, is there a motion to approve stormwater management plan for Newberry RE Holdings LLC?
I'll make a motion to approve the stormwater management plan for Newberry Real Estate Holdings LLC, and that's contingent on the memorandum provided by our township engineer dated, and help me with this, Bill. What was
March 5th.
dated March 5th, 2025.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. I think that's it, right? Okay, is there a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, I move when we adjourn.
Okay, Jeff, is there a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
We have
Okay.
a meeting planned for next month. Dave?